Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. We're in Interop 2011 in Las Vegas. On our program is Abner Germanow. He is the Director of Enterprise Marketing at Juniper. Abner, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rich. Pleasure to be here.
So I was hoping to discuss with you some trends you're seeing.
Sure. So we see three really big trends. The first trend is a change in how people consume applications. The second trend is a change in where those applications reside. And then the third trend is in the data center itself where that application exists. The application architecture has changed dramatically, and so the network needs to change dramatically as well. So would you like me to walk through all three of those? Okay. So the first one, if you think about the devices that you use to access information. You're sitting here with an iPad 2. I go to many meetings now and people have multiple devices. And so you want to make sure that you allow users to have the freedom of devices that they want to, whichever device they want to use, but IT has to maintain control over that. And so as a CIO, what I want to be able to say is I don't care what device you use, I don't care what network you use to access the information, but I want it secure. If you lose the device, I want to be able to wipe it, and I want to be able to let you have multiple devices. So I want to control the access based on you and not on where you are or what device you use. So you take a step from there into the enterprise itself, and you say, okay, I'm going to build a campus, and how am I going to deploy the network there? I want to maintain that same security paradigm, because again, I don't care where anybody is, but this device doesn't have a wired port in it. And so I want to be able to have a wireless enterprise that's going to be now mostly wireless instead of wired. So I used to have employees connected to PCs. Now I have everybody connected with multiple devices that are all wireless.
Right.
And that gives you an opportunity to simplify the network and the back end, not only in the front end where you need a very highly reliable wireless LAN, but also in the back end you probably have a lot of complexity. That's where all your cost of the network lies. So you want to be able to solve that problem. And we call the notion of being device agnostic, highly reliable wireless LAN and a simplified network being simply connected. So that's one of the things that we're talking about here at the show. Now, if we take a step from there and you say, okay, what is it that you're accessing? You're accessing a number of different applications. Some of them reside in your corporate data center. Some of them are cloud services. Some of them might be a mix of those two. And so we used to architect networks so that all the traffic would go from my laptop to the corporate data center.
Right.
And now the traffic's going to multiple data centers.
Right.
So you need an internet connection and a WAN that can scale with those changes. So that when somebody says, you know what, we want to evolve from our CRM system to a SaaS provider, that you can do that, and the network won't be in the way of that business decision. Or when someone says we want to evolve from a PBX to a hosted service from whoever's going to do that, that you have that flexibility. So that's what we call the universal WAN. And then finally, where the application itself resides, we used to have client-server applications where the traffic, again, only flowed in one direction. It flowed from the server out to the user, and the users are fairly latency tolerant, right? You click on a web page, a couple minutes later it comes back, or a couple seconds later it comes back, that's okay. The way that applications are built today, though, is they're built with lots of different components. And the reason they're built with lots of different components is because every business line manager turns to the IT department and says, hey, we have information in application A, and we have information in application B. How do we get the two of those to work together?
Right.
And for a business manager, that seems like such an easy question. And yeah, I understand there's going to be software and development work that needs to happen, but the infrastructure has to support that too. And so as the software architectures have evolved from client-server to SOA and web services models, the network infrastructure has stayed the same. And so what that means is you got to do something very different to the network infrastructure, because instead of the traffic flowing from the client out to and back and forth to the server, the traffic is now actually predominantly between server to server and server to storage, because you have all these application components talking to each other. So you need a network infrastructure that can support that business leader going, hey, what happens if we do this? And what happens if I move a virtual machine around? Does its security policy follow it wherever it goes?
Right.
And so when you look at the needs of those architectures, you look at the needs in each of those three, Juniper brings very unique solutions and architectures to each of those three. And if I look at the software strategy that we have, if I look at the breadth of products that we have to solve all that, and I finish with the focus that we have on networking, because networking and security is all we do. And so we have to get those problems right, otherwise people aren't going to migrate to us. And so that's what we're talking about here at the show, and that's why we're being so successful recently.
So speaking of success, I want to ask this question. It's a competitive space, right?
Sure.
Just networking in general, it's becoming more competitive. More vendors are throwing their hat in the ring. Asian competition's coming in. Briefly tell us, if you're on a short list for a company, an enterprise, why will they go with Juniper as opposed to competitor?
Sure. So they'll go with Juniper because when you look at the architecture that we bring to, and that we enable somebody to deploy, and whether it's in a campus or in the WAN or in a data center, that architecture not only performs better, but generally it costs less because it's generally less gear. So for example, in the data center, that north-south traffic that I was talking about, that you build out with a 3-tier network. Now, if you can somehow get the traffic to go directly east-west from rack to rack or server to storage, then what happens is now all that traffic isn't going up and back down, it's going back and forth, and so you can actually take that middle tier right out of the network. And so that's about $1 billion worth of spend every year. And so our customers look at our proposals and they go, okay, the architecture performs better than what we have today. It costs about 1/3 less of what competitors say, and then the side benefit is that the operational model that we have for the software that runs all of our different network devices and switching, routing, and security has an operational model that makes it much safer to make changes. So the way that it works is you make the configuration changes in an XML file, and you send that to the device. And if it doesn't work, the device goes back to the last known state, and you can actually have 50 of those. And so if I'm an IT guy that's worried about making changes, they love Junos because they can make changes, and if the changes don't work, they can roll it back.
So it's somewhat mistake-proof, right?
Exactly. So it's that breadth of capability and the operational rigor that we allow them to have, and the architectures that bring them to Juniper.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
This is great.
Thank you.